Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation of 4 simple steps to becoming a more consistent trader. Now, a lot of traders have difficulty in implementing some type of method, system, or strategy. I'm going to show you how simple it is, even with the markets with a lot of volatility we've been having lately. For example, let's take a look at this chart. This is the spiders. This is the ETF that represents the S&P 500. And we all know that in December, coming into January, the first of this year, the market had a very sharp sell-off. A lot of people were caught off guard by how sharp this sell-off was and lost a lot of money trying to buy during this. And then right as soon as the sell-off ended, we went all the way back up until this final week here. As you can see, this was a chart coming into this last week and went back to the old high. So it's very difficult for some traders to get in sync with the market. Well, with today's simple process, I'm going to share with you how you actually could have been able to take advantage of the sell signal that happened right here at the very top or close to the very top of that downward move. And then once we established that we were going upwards, you could have had a nice buy scenario right here, followed with one more there and even one more there. So this promises to be a great educational presentation, and you're going to see how simple it is to apply this process on our new platform. This is the PTS Primo charting platform. Finally, the trading educational portal that makes trading simple. So welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo, President and Founder of Specialist Trading. And if you're new to my presentations, we have just one goal in mind with our company. We teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies, and there's just one goal that we have, and that's simply to educate traders, to put you in charge of your own trading destiny. Now, I've been trading for 42 years. I started my career out on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, but 9 of those years I was a specialist. I've been trading for 42 years, but during my career as a specialist, I made markets in roughly about 60 stocks. I traded through the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed. So in that time on the floor, my experience, I traded just about every system, every method you can think of. And following that, since then, I've traded just about every environment you can think of. So trust me, in terms of what works and what doesn't, I can really share with you what does work in terms of consistency. So that's what we do at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. We're simply an education process here where we really try to put you in charge of your own trading destiny. So I'm going to show you what the simple process is today. One of the strategies we teach and one of the simple processes we teach to put you in charge. But before we begin, as always, we're required by law to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this 4-step process, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. So as you're taking a brief moment to view our disclaimer, once again, I'd also like to invite each and every one of you who haven't done so already. We have a lot of new people in today's presentation. So feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy that down. Every day I post different information, educational tools and little bits of wisdom along the way, as well as signals that our strategies have generated. So lots of great free information. Feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, as I stated earlier, we are different from other webinars you may have attended in that our only goal is simply here to educate you. As you see here, my goal is not to force feed you signals or tell you what market to trade. My goal is simply to educate you. And someone would say, well, why do you have to educate me? Why, Steve, why can't you just furnish me with the signals that if this stuff works so well, why can't you just, furnish me with the signals and tell me what to buy or sell? Well, if you think of it, our entire industry, when you go to a webinar, when you buy a system or a package, is based on that, giving you supposedly some great method or some system that has a high percentage of win-loss ratio and never fails, and the drawdowns are real small, and all you have to do is buy or sell. Or else it's based off you subscribing to some chat room or some webinar host that has been trading for so many years and he knows what he's doing. So all you have to do is take his recommendations and take his picks, right? That's what the entire industry is based off of. Even when you watch TV, they're telling you what their recommendation is to buy or sell. Now think of it. If these things work so well, if this process works so well, then why is it estimated that upwards of 80 to 85% of all traders fail? Well, it's because that process doesn't work. what I found out in my 42 years of trading is that in order to be a consistent trader, you have to become a part of the process, meaning that you have to have a say. So this is what we provide. This is what differentiates us from any other website. What we do is provide you with that education so that you can become a consistent trader by making your own decisions. I don't know if any other educators, so-called educators, do this other than us. And on top of that, what we provide is someone with 42 years of experience teaching you every step of the way. So trust me, when I first started trading 42 years ago, many of the things you may be going through right now, I've gone through already. I know how frustrating it is and how difficult it is to know that you're spending a lot of time and especially a lot of money and you're not seeing any results. Well, I've been there and I know how I can help you. So this is where we're different from other webinars and other websites in that we've been there before, we know exactly what you're going through, and we have the education to get you on the road to becoming a consistent trader. So this is where we're different from other websites and other webinars you may have attended. Now, since this is an educational presentation today, I want you to ask me as many questions as possible. But I'm a little bit different from other presenters in the fact that I like to wait till the end. So if you have any questions, please wait till the end of today's class. I promise I'll get to each and every one of them. If we stop at every slide the way some other presenters do, we may be here far too long. I don't want to take up your entire day. And this process will probably last maybe about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and then we'll reserve the last portion for any questions, okay? The only question I will answer is this being recorded? Yes, it is. A lot of our attendees have internet connection problems. Many times if you log off and log back on, it'll be resolved. But if you can't see or hear clearly, don't worry. We'll give you each a link to this recording, or if you have to leave early, okay? So please, we have a good crowd here today. Wait till the end of today's class to ask questions. All right, with that said, let's begin today's presentation. What we want to be talking about today is probably one of our most consistent strategies, and this is strategy number 4. This was one of the first strategies that my mentors taught me some 4 decades ago, and I've been using it on a daily basis in some capacity for 4 decades now. Now, let me share with you some of the highlights of this particular method. It's for all traders, so it does not matter if you're a beginner or an advanced, experienced trader. Everyone as a student of mine gets the same basic format, and then we work out from there. And people say, well, why don't we get the same, signals? You're going to get the same basic format that generates the signals. But let's say you're a conservative trader. Let's say you don't like to take a lot of risk. Well, you'll want to learn a different way to place your stop. Let's say you're the type of guy who wants to stay in a trade a long time. You want to get as much bang for your buck. Well, then we'll show you an exit that is geared exclusively towards that, okay? Let's say you want an entry that has a high risk-reward ratio. You really care about that. We'll show you a different entry for that. So you see how we're kind of giving you a buffet line of things to pick and choose. So once again, it goes to our philosophy that you are in charge. This is where we're different from other presenters and other webinars in that we want to make you a part of the process. Now, it was originally designed for traders looking to catch some momentum moves. So this is what this strategy is based off of. Now, its intensity level from 1 to 3 is a very moderate number 2, right in the middle there. Not too intense, not too relaxed, very moderate strategy. One of the reasons why is because it only uses one indicator. And I'll share with you what that is, and I'll show you how simple it is. Now, the beauty of strategy 4 is that it can be applied to any time frame, any direction, and any market. So a lot of you may say, well, Steve, I know you're showing a lot of stocks here. I don't trade stocks, or I trade intraday stocks, or I trade currency pairs, or I trade Bitcoin. It makes no difference. You will see strategy number 4 setups being generated in all markets, in all time frames, and in all directions. Now, if you become a student of mine, you will receive automatic buy and sell indications, but remember, they are there for educational purposes only. In other words, what we want to do is teach you. Nothing is hidden. We disclose all the rules to all of our methods and all of our strategies so that you become a part of the process. But in order to learn on your own, after you've studied the material, you want to see if if you're on track. So what we do is we provide you with up and down signal arrows just to see that you're in line with the strategy rules. So let's say you see a buy setup and you want to make sure that you're in line. You just would simply click on the setup, the signal setup, and you would see if you are confirmed with an up or down arrow, okay? Now, our edge here is consistency. What does consistency means? It doesn't mean that, well, gosh, I never lose money. This is so consistent. No, it actually means the opposite. It means that you will be aware of that method, and any method actually will experience losses from time to time. And that's okay. It's okay if you have a loss here and there. What you want is a method that's consistent enough to make up those losses, to recoup those losses. And that's what our methods are, okay? I really tell my students, you know, they say, well, gosh, Steve, this method I spent $10,000 on was supposed to never lose or maybe have one losing trade in the last 5 years. The minute I start trading it, it loses everything. And see, that's what I mean when you take yourself out of the game. If you don't understand why you're trading, or you don't understand that you have a consistent method, then you're going to fall into that 85th percentile of traders who will be losing. So what we want to do is give you the edge of having a method that has a 2-step forward, 1-step back process. Okay, so let's begin now again, and let's talk about some of the rules. Okay, we're going to take them step by step so that you fully understand, and we'll show you this 4-step process. All right, step number 1. Choose the market you're interested in buying. By the way, we're looking at the buy setups right now. That's why we said interested in buying. In a short while, we'll go over sell setups as well. Now, I know this seems kind of redundant because you're always going to have to choose the market. But the reason we say this is because how many times have you purchased a product or you've gone to some website and all they do is trade stocks or all they trade are currency pairs? The reason why we say choose the market is because strategy 4 can be applied to any market, and all our techniques and methods can be applied to any market. So this is why we want you to decide which market, whatever time frame, whatever direction you're interested in. Okay? So let's just say we are a stock trader. We're looking at this old chart here in EL, and this is for educational purposes. Now, looking in hindsight, we say, wow, yeah, well, sure, I would have loved to have purchased this. So how would I know that this was going to go up? Sure, in hindsight, right here, I can tell that it was going up, but I would have liked to know somewhere back here that this was at least in an uptrend. Well, now we go to step number 2. On our platform, click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab. All right? So what you do is click on right here, and you'll get this drop-down menu here. Click on Fluid. This is our new proprietary way of clicking on the buy-sell line, which I developed with Pro Trader Strategies. And automatically, you see the blue area, which has a buyer's bias, and the reddish-orange area. Now, this line here is simply the 50-period moving average. That's the buy-sell line. But if price is in the blue background, that's called the buyer zone, because in other words, you want to be only looking for buy setups. If price, conversely, is in the red-orange zone, that's the sell zone. Then you want to be a seller. So do you see how you just automatically alleviated half the problem of saying, well, gosh, I sold this or I went short because this guy told me it was overbought and all the institutions were selling, or all the indicators were overbought, so I had to sell it, and it kept going up. Well, look how simple this is. As long as price remains in this blue background zone, then you're only looking for buy setups. Don't even think about selling. You just increase your odds for consistency tremendously by adding step 2. But let's take it further. Let's go to step 3, and we're only going to trade buy signals that have a steep upward sloping buy-sell line. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for this nice steep upward slope. We have found over time that what that is telling you is that there is strong momentum. I always use this metaphor. Think of a river, okay? Let's say you have a raft and you want to use the river to get from point A to point B. Are you going to get there quicker in a river that's barely moving, that almost looks like a pond, as opposed to a river that has a nice rapids or has some nice current behind it? Well, obviously, you're going to take the river that has a nice current, that has a nice flow behind it. That's what this steep slope means. It means that there's a lot of momentum currently going on to the upside. So those are where you'll see a lot of the very highly consistent signals being generated, as opposed to a flat surface with the buy-sell line. Now, the final step, step 4, is simply to click on Strategy 4 in the green upper Strategy tab. All right. Now, remember, we teach you what to look for, but we want you to understand why a Strategy 4 signal was generated. But at the same time, it's so simple. All you have to do is click on signal arrows, and you'll automatically see where they were generated. Now, someone looking at this would have said, wow, this is just too simple. Well, trading is simple. It's just that we make it more difficult than it has to be. Remember, you know why a green arrow has been generated. Now, here's one thing that our students have reported back to us in testimonials and what they've stated. So we want to share this important tip with you. Students have reported that some of their most consistent setups are signals generated closest to or touching that buy-sell line. So what this will do will kind of filter out some of the trades. Remember, this is not a system, so you can take any one of the trades you want to. But just as an educational tip, if you want to lower, because we know there's a lot of signals here, you want to lower or filter out some of these, you could have taken this signal right here that touched the buy-sell line. There was another one right here that got very close to or touching, and then there was a third one right there. So you see how you filter out a lot of the noise. Now it's entirely up to you, but that was just a suggestion based on what our students around the world. We have students of Strategy 4 in over 115 countries and in every state in the United States. So they continuously write back to us, letting us know what they like or what things have worked for them. That's the process. It doesn't get any simpler than that. You know, there's no reason to look at what the institutions are doing. I don't know why you would concern yourself with what they're doing. When I was trading on the floor, I dealt with the institutions. I was a market maker. I was making markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks, and the institutions on a daily basis would give me their orders. So I don't know why anyone in the world would base their decisions based off the institutions, because they would give me an order to say buy or sell 50 or 100,000 or maybe 250,000 shares. And someone would say, oh, that's support or that's resistance based off the institution. And then the very next day they would cancel that order. So what happened to the support and resistance? Meanwhile, the person who's just looking at a chart at their home would say, well, this is where the institutions are buying, right? So I have to buy there. But the institutions have already canceled their order and gone somewhere else. So it's silly to think that you can follow them and think, you know, well, I'll do what they're doing. And it's been my experience that a lot of times the institutions were wrong, even when they bought or when they sold at their particular levels. So why waste your time on something, once again, that shows no consistency? All right, or such as volume, or such as overbought, oversold indicators, or such as listening to somebody in a chat room. Remember, most traders fail because you rely on someone or something else to tell you how to trade. We're different from that at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. We take 42 years of experience and teach you how to trade. This is what separates us from everyone else. And then you have 42 years of experience there with you every step of the way. This is what we offer that no one else offers. All right, let's look at some sell setups. And we're going to take the exact same process, except we're going to look at selling opportunities. Okay, step one. Once again, choose the market you're interested in trading. This could be Bitcoin. It could be commodities. It could be the Indian exchange. It could be intraday trading. It could be futures. It makes no difference. Let's look once again at an older stock chart in OC. Okay. Once again, in hindsight, someone say, well, yeah, Steve, look at this. Yeah, I would have loved to know to sell this, but how would I have known? I mean, it looked like it had support here. Look at this major support. Okay, how did I know it was going to break that support? That's where all the institutions were holding it up. Once again, do you see how all my justification is based off of things that really have no consistency? It's so simple just to add step number 2. Click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab, and that's going to tell you what side of the market to be on. That's why we call it the buy or sell line. Once you click on the buy-sell line, you choose the fluid. Out of all the 4 different ways to view the buy-sell line, we choose the fluid in this process. And now we see how simple it is that we've known all along that we should have a seller's bias. Why? Because we've been in the sell zone. Price never had the blue background. So why would you care what an institution is doing? Why would you care what some guy is saying on TV or what some recommendation is or what your analysis is of the earnings? If price is in the reddish-orange seller zone, you don't want to be a buyer. You will have a higher level of consistency if you only look for selling opportunities. Now, step 3, we only want to trade sell signals that have a steep downward sloping buy-sell line. So let's say you picked on the buy-sell line and whatever you're choosing to trade, and the slope was sideways. Well, you most likely want to move on because you're not going to have, once again, a lot of current in that river. Remember, we want a lot of current, a lot of rapids in that river to get you where you want to go fast. And as you can see in the beginning, OC had a kind of a sideways to downward slope. At this point, this is where the current started to really flow downward nicely. So this is where you want to look for setups. Now, the last thing is, out of your education, which I provide for you, you would know right off the bat where the strategy number 4 setups are. But to make it simple, we provide you with the strategy number 4 click on in the green upper strategy tab. You click that on, signal arrows just to confirm what you saw, and guess what? They're all over the place. Now you could take these ones that are in the downward slope. As you can see, most of these would have been nice, but look at this one right here where they touched the downward slope. This is where a lot of our students say are those high probability setups right there. And look what happened right after that. Now, did we know it was going to go down that far? No, because we do not predict the way so many so-called educators do. We don't predict what the markets are going to do. What we do is just simply translate what the market wants to do at that moment. So as you can see here, the market wanted to go down. Do we know how far down? No, no one knows. All we can do is tell you that this is what the market wants to do. Think of an elephant going in one direction, and you want to just simply ride that elephant. You want to jump on board and ride rather than stand in front of it and say, well, you're going to stop right here because this guy in the chat room says you should go no further. Well, most likely you'll get run over and trampled on. All right, this is why 85% of all traders fail. It's a lot easier if you just simply jump on the moving train wherever it wants to go. All right, so you know the process. That's it. That's how simple it is. Let me share with you some more current examples. Those examples were educational purposes only. They were older charts. Let's show you things that happened within the last month, within the last week, okay? All right, remember we talked about the spider chart in the beginning, the ETF for the S&P? Well, look at, once we applied the fluid buy-sell line, we see this nice down strong slope, okay? And look at this sell signal, was touching. Don't you think you could have taken advantage of that nice sell-off? Okay, lots and lots of opportunities. Once the slope started changing, and then as we started going higher, well, a week or so ago, some nice buy signals were generated. As we look at Tesla, okay, a lot of negative talk about Tesla lately. Well, we've been seeing that the price was below since January, so there's no reason even to worry about what the talk is about the company. We don't care. All we care is that this is in the red-orange zone, so we're just going to look at this from a seller's opportunity and look at all the sell signals that were generated, okay? And a nice downward, strong downward slope. How about QURE, okay? As we can see right here in the beginning of January, the beginning of the year, we had 3 to 5 closes above, consecutive closes above. That was our signal that this stock wants to go up. Do we know how high? No. It could have been 1 point, could have been 20 points, or taking off the way you see here. We have no idea. All we know is that the train is going in one direction. We want to jump on board. So at this point, you would not even look at this stock from a seller's point of view. You'd only look for buy signals. Click on strategy number 4, and as you can see later on here, second week of April, a buy signal, or I should say February, a buy signal was generated. Could have caught all this nice move upward. How about HCSG, okay? Now, this is a perfect example of what we mean by consistency. Now, a buy signal was generated in mid to late January, and obviously this did not work out well. Now, had you simply taken that buy signal, it most likely would have resulted in a loss. Now, what we mean by consistency is a method that's able to recoup those losses. Had you taken the next signal here about a month later, well, I think you would have been able to recoup it, make it back, and more. Now, here's a second tip I want to suggest. Remember, we said that you want to look for a nice downward slope and a nice upward slope if you're buying. Look at the slope here. Were we going very strongly to the upside? Absolutely not. We were kind of going sideways, right? So that's another suggestion, another tip that you may have wanted to pass on this particular setup. So had you done that, well, you never would have even bought, and you would have taken advantage of this downward slope and maybe sold here. It's up to you. Remember, you're in charge. We're trying to put the power back in your hands. This is where we're different from other webinars in that, you know, we're not a systematic company. If you decide how you want to trade, when you want to get in, there's no way we can have statistics or numbers to tell you how well this performed last month or last year, because everyone trades it differently. In fact, we can have 2 traders trading the same signal and come up with entirely different results. Someone may take the signal and come up with a small profit. Someone else may take the signal and come up with an amazing profit. And then someone else could take that same signal and come up and break even. It all depends on how you want to enter, how you want to exit, and how you want to place your stop. But that's okay, because that's how you become consistent. We're not going to ever tell you how you should buy or sell. Remember, The entire industry is based off that. Think of how you make your decisions. Do you go to a chat room? Do you watch the people on TV? Do you get a signal service? Do you have a system that automatically generates buy and sell signals? You have no idea what it's based off of? If that works so well, if the industry works so well, why is it estimated that 85% of all traders fail? It's because that doesn't work well. There's no consistency. The only thing in my experience that works well is when you put yourself in charge, make your own decision. And the reason why most traders don't like to do that or don't know how to do that is because they've never been supplied with the education. This is our distinction from other companies out there. We're the only company I know that provides you with education that has stood the test of time. 42 years of experience in showing you this, okay? Here's another example in MLNX. As you can see, here was a sell signal. Now, this is what we mean by consistency. This had a kind of slight downward slope. Let's say we had taken that and resulted in a loss, okay? Not to worry, because now that we started to be in the buyer zone and price of the fluid buy-sell line started to really slope upwards, you could have taken this signal or even this one, which was just a week or so ago, and taken advantage and recouped most of your losses and even more. How about Mountain MTN? All right, once again, another buy signal generated that would have resulted in a loss if you just blindly took it. But remember, we want to see a strong upward slope when we have a buy signal. What is the slope of the fluid buy-sell line? It's going down. So that's your recommendation not to take this trade. You can still take it if you want to, but we would suggest not, because look at the current of the river you're on. It's going in the opposite direction, so you're not going to most likely go where you want to go. If the slope is going strongly down and price goes into the seller zone, then you want to take selling opportunities, such as you did here, okay? Now, even if you had taken this signal, most traders would say, well, this stuff doesn't work. I wasted my time and my money with this guy. He's just like all the rest. He says he knows what the market does. Remember, you will have losses from time to time. That's okay. What is not okay is a system or strategy that takes you into a series of losses over and over again. What you want to do is have consistency, a method that's able to recoup those losses. And look, do you think you would have been able to recoup on these sell signals? How about GH, okay? Price in early January had consecutive closes above, so all you have to do is look for the slope. Now, the slope is kind of going upwards, but slightly sideways. So you could have taken these signals if you wanted to. Remember, a lot of our students suggest that you take the ones closest to or touching the buy-sell line. But let's say you had passed and waited for a very strong upward slope, such as you saw here. Well, you would have missed this nice gain, but guess what? It would have gotten you right here in the bottom before that nice upward gain here in GH, and this was just a week or two ago, okay? I often go to webinars myself just to see what other people are teaching, to see what, for some reason, what people are buying, and I don't understand it, because half the time these guys don't even say what anything is based off of. It's too subjective, and on top of that, they're using charts and examples that I've seen a year, even 2 years old. We're showing you things that happened in the last week or two. How about FIZZ? Okay, this is starting in November, coming all the way into March. What is the direction of the slope of the fluid buy-sell line? It's obviously down, right? So it's telling you that the trend, the current is, the momentum is strong to the downside. Look at all these nice signals. If you wanted to take the high probability ones, according to our students, you would have taken the ones closest to or touching the buy-sell line, these ones right here. Now, we had two buy signals. This is where students get confused. They say, well, Steve, I lost money. The first signals I took were those buy ones. We were above in the blue zone. Well, you're right. But what direction is the fluid buy-sell line going? It's going down, so you don't want to take those. And this is where we filtered out those. So there's lots of ways to cut down or minimize on your losses. We can't do it all together, but we can minimize that. And it's very simple. It's not subjective. It's not something where you have to sit there and go, well, gosh, I don't really understand this. Should I take this or not? It's simple. If you had sell signals, why? Because they closed below the buy-sell line. If we're in the red-orange zone, as you can see, these sell signals were in the red-orange zone, and the slope is going downward. I mean, it doesn't get simpler than that. The process is simple. It's up to you. There's nothing you really have to think out about because it's all right there for you. GWR, we had a really nice downward slope here. This was in December. Two great signals touching the downward sloping buy-sell line. Look at the nice move down here. Once price started to close above, we know now that we're only going to be a buyer. We wait for that strong upward slope right here. And look what happened. This was just last week, okay? Got a nice buy signal right before that big upward move. Now, some would say, well, Steve, were you guys privy to the news that came out in this stock? No, because it's not required to look at news. In our opinion, news is too subjective. If you want to, you can look at news. Remember, our philosophy is not to tell you how to trade. Our philosophy is just to furnish you with high probability tools and strategies that work, that have worked over time. If you want to use news, you can, but it's not in any way required. None of our strategies are based off of news. Why? Because the market tells you what it wants to do. Not some guy in a chat room, not some guy on TV, not even a guy in a webinar like myself. I never tell people what the market wants to do. I only show them what the market wants to do. How about FFIV? It doesn't get any simpler than this. You have a strong downward slope. All of the price bars are in the red sell zone. And look, we have a sell signal that is close to or touching. I mean, I can't think of a better setup to go short than that, okay? Could have purchased puts. It's up to you. Remember, once again, I know a lot of students will say, well, Steve, I don't have a big enough account to go short a stock. I've never really shorted stocks. Well, remember, this is not a system. If you don't want to short a stock, you don't have to. We're not telling you what to trade or how to trade. And if you don't have a big enough account, you can purchase puts or some type of spread strategy that has a downward bias. It's up to you how you implement it. We're just sharing you these high probability setups. And for the first time, you'll know how to spot them on your own. You won't have to rely on someone telling you what to buy or sell. Look at this example in Oak, okay? Here was a sell signal that was generated in the beginning of January. Now, this was obviously a losing trade. It didn't work out, okay? You will have losses. There's nothing wrong with that. But look what happened after that. In February, we had 3 buy signals. Had you taken any one of those, look what happened just this past week, okay? Do you think you could have made back the money you had on that loss, that sell, and maybe made some more? Look at the opportunities we share with you on how to explore. This all happened within the last week. How about EBS? The same thing. Price was above the 50-period moving average, the downward sloping buy-sell line, the fluid buy-sell line. But then once we closed once below here, a strategy number 4 sell signal was generated. This is a more advanced sell signal, but it was still a valid sell signal. You could have taken this because it was touching the line. And look at the nice sell-off you had coming into, I believe, this past week, yesterday actually. How about MDB? Same thing. We have a nice upward slope. So first thing we want to do is apply the fluid buy-sell line. Okay, so price is in the blue zone, so we know we're only going to be a buyer. Now we look for that strong upward slope, which we have right here. We click on strategy 4, and we have 2 signals, and they're close enough, so we could have taken them, and a week later, look what happens, a very nice upward move. A lot of people were looking at Apple. Okay, Apple had a very nice upward slope here at this point in March. Coming into that, there really wasn't a nice upward slope. In fact, right here in February, it was actually going down. But that's okay. There were no signals generated until just a week ago in March. And coincidentally, we started getting that nice upward slope. So these would have been 2 valid signals to take to go long Apple. Okay. Now remember, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, this is great, but where do I get out? Where do I enter exactly? Where do I place my stop? All those things are taught in the course. Don't worry, we're not going to leave that up to you. We teach you all the different variables. Remember, our course is like a buffet line. We give you the standard basic format, which is the strategy, and then the buffet line, which you can pick and choose for your dessert, for your appetizer, for your salad. That's the buffet line. You can pick and choose where you want to exit. We have 6 or 7 different exit levels. You can choose where you want to place your stop. We have 6 or 7 different exits for stop placement. You can choose exactly how you want to enter, a conservative entry, an aggressive entry. It's up to you. All right, so let's look at some different time frames, because right up until then, we just looked at daily bars. I don't want you to think that this only works for stocks on daily bars. Let's look at PGR. This is a weekly chart. Look at the strong upward slope and the buy signals that were generated, okay? Now, that's a weekly bar to the upside. Look at MO. This is a weekly bar to the downside. You have a strong downward slope. You could have taken advantage of this one signal here where it was touching, or even this one, and look at this nice downward move coming into January of this year. How about a monthly chart, okay? You want to see what the QQQs look like? Well, we're going back all the way to 2011, about 8 or 9 years ago nearly. People would say, I never knew that this market was going to keep going up. Well, we don't know it's going to keep going up either, but as long as it's in the blue background of the fluid buy-sell line, you're okay as a long-term investor, okay? And look at the buy signals where you could have taken advantage of the QQQs. How about a 1-hour chart of Facebook? This was on March 8th last week. Now, this is a perfect example of the process. First thing you do is click on the fluid buy-sell line. You see that price, even though it's selling off, it's sold off in the blue background. So that's telling you it's okay. These are buying opportunities. This is not something to get scared at and worry about. This is a buying opportunity. Now you had a nice, strong upward slope. All right, now here you had a buy signal and another one. Most likely they would have turned into losses. This is why a lot of our students say they only like to take the ones that touch or are closest to the rising fluid buy-sell line. Had you taken that one, look at the very nice profit you could have potentially had. Now, a lot of people say, well, what about news, Steve? What if a news announcement comes out? Is it going to, negate everything? Well, we can't promise you that it's going to be on the right side, but it's been my experience after trading this for 4 decades that oftentimes the market tells you in advance of a news event what it wants to do. For example, Yahoo Finance reported that U.S. FinTech was going to buy WorldPay as electronic payments business was booming, okay? So the stock was going to be bought out. Now, this news came out here on the, I believe, the 6th or 18th, okay, which just happened to be this past week, I believe Monday, all right? So this is really good news. The stock gaps up. This is the way most traders will trade based off of news or an outside source. So see that and say, well, wow, that's great news. It's going to get bought out. Boy, I wish I would have bought that, or how would I have known? I guess I've got to start studying more about, companies and fundamental information in order to get involved so I can know in advance about stocks like this. Well, you can if you want to, once again, but why make it more difficult than it has to be? If you applied our process, you would simply click on the buy-sell line, click on the fluid feature, seeing that this stock has already been in the blue buy zone. So you know right off the bat that you're only going to be looking for buying opportunities. And at this point right here, end of February, beginning of March, it started to have a nice upward slope. So now you could have said, well, wow, this is on my watch list. I'm going to start looking for buy signals. Now, had you known how to spot them, you would have seen automatically that a buy signal was generated. But just to check your work, you click on Strategy 4, click on Signal Arrows, and guess what? There were a total of 3 buy signals generated a full week prior to that announcement in WP and WorldPay, okay? Once again, this is not guaranteed, but it's been my experience that the market always tells you in advance what it wants to do. So why listen to anything else other than the market? This is how simple this process is. Now let's look at some different markets because I know we focused on stocks. What if you're a commodity trader? All right, let's look at a chart in gold. Coming into the end of February, gold had been going up very strongly. How could we have taken advantage of that? There's no reason to change the process just because we're looking at commodities now. We see with the fluid buy-sell line a nice strong upward slope. So this is where we want to take advantage of buy signals. And look at all the buy signals that were generated using strategy number 4. Okay? It doesn't get any simpler than that. How about the Emini S&P? All right, let's look at a 15-minute chart. And this was just last week, the 8th coming into the 10th and 11th. Okay? Now, someone looking at this would say, well, Steve, how would I know? I mean, it looked like we were going down, and then on the 10th, we kind of went sideways, and then on the 11th, we went straight up. Well, let's go through our process. First thing we want to do is apply the fluid buy-sell line. And as we can see here, initially, we had a very strong downward slope, but when price crossed over, we had a nice, strong upward slope. Now we apply strategy 4 and look at all the sell signals to the downside and look at all the buy signals to the upside. Okay? You think you could have taken advantage of these setups last week in a 15-minute chart of the E-mini? Lastly, let's look at the forex markets for your currency pair traders. Let's look at a 4-hour chart of the euro-dollar. Now, once again, this is coming into March, this last week. Someone say, well, Steve, it was going really nicely, and then all of a sudden it fell out of bed. Well, first process is to apply the fluid buy-sell line. Sure, price was doing very nicely until it got to this point. So at this point, we know we're not going to buy anymore, and if we're long, we want to get out. All you have to do is apply strategy number 4 tab, Look at all the buy signals that were generated, and this one most likely would have resulted in a loss because it really didn't go up that much to make a profit. But guess what? You could have taken advantage of these next 3 sell signals to recoup that loss. All right, so let's recap before we go into question and answers again. Remember, step 1, choose your market. We say that because I just showed you markets in currency pairs, commodities, also stocks and futures. Remember, you can apply this to Bitcoin. It doesn't matter what. It can be in the Indian exchange, the DAX exchange, the Philippine exchange. We have data for all those markets. And strategy 4 generates signals in all those markets. So choose the market you're interested in, whatever time frame, whatever direction you like to trade. Step number 2, click on the buy-sell line and click on the fluid feature. That is one of the best features we have for telling you the slope and the momentum behind the current market you're looking at and where you want to apply the signal. And step 3 is to click on the fluid feature, as we just said. And step 4 is to click on the strategies. This is all made really simple and clear, this 4-step process on our PTS Primo charting platform. Remember, we provide this as a service to make trading simple. One of the first things, the testimonials I get from all of our students who have become members and students of ours who use the platform say, Steve, I never knew that trading could be so simple. And this is what we provide. More than any other educator, I think, our methods, our techniques are extremely simple. So I don't want people to think, well, Steve, you've been trading 42 years. I've only been trading a couple of weeks now. I can't take this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. It makes no difference. Trust me, there's no reason to think that trading has to be complicated. Trading should be simple. For some reason, we've been taught that the more complicated you make your trading, the more valid and successful it will be. But if there's one thing I've learned in over 4 decades, it's the opposite. Those things actually don't work as well as making trading simple. So this is what we provide, simplicity and consistency. Now, we have a great offer for all the attendees today, okay? We're going to have a great introductory package. If you're not a student of mine, we're going to offer you our strategy number 4. This is instant course access, detailed instruction, 15 video course lessons. You're going to learn about all the entries, all the exits, all the stops. Remember, you can apply to any market, any time frame, and you're going to get educational correspondence. So you can contact me via email anytime you have a question, and I'll respond to you right away. So I'm going to be there with you every step of the way. This is not something where we just give you a course and say good luck. I'm going to be there working with you to make sure that you fully understand it. Remember, this strategy works on all markets and time frames. But we're not going to stop there. We're also going to throw in 6 months of the PTS Primo charts absolutely free. This is a nearly $900 value. Now, let me share with you what's offered, because it just isn't those couple of things offered on our platform. We also have extra bonuses included on our platform. Now, obviously, you're going to get proprietary strategy number 4, all the rules, all the entries, exits, and plus everything is 1 click away. You're also going to get our enhanced buy-sell line features. You can apply the fluid buy-sell line along with 3 other ways in which to apply the buy-sell line. We have a great tool I developed with Pro Trader Strategies. This is called our Strength of Trend tool. We teach this. I've given webinars on this on our Saturday webinar series, where this is such a great tool because it's not a system, it's not a strategy, it doesn't give buy or sell signals, but what it does is it determines the strength of the current trend. So many times you can either get out of a trade you're already in because it will show you many times if the trend is dissipating or if it still has some momentum left in it. This is a great, great tool only found on our platform. One of the best things about this, though, one of the extra bonuses is we're throwing in the signal scanner. So we know if you trade multiple markets, there are literally dozens, if not hundreds, of strategy number 4 signals generated each night. In fact, this generates more signals than any of our methods combined. It is just a multitude of signals generated on a nightly basis. Well, there's no need to do what I did some 40 years ago and look through 500 charts a night to try and find out where the strategy 4 signals are. We make it simple. Once again, remember, that's our credo. Make trading as simple as possible. And we made the scanner as simple as possible. This is how simple it is. In that green strategy tab where you would click on the signal arrows, you just click on scan. And this drop-down window will appear next to your chart, okay? This is the scanner window. All you want to do is click on load symbols. Now, once you do that, you'll see a list of symbols that you can apply. Now, we provide you with this list. It can be multiple markets. It can be currency pairs, Bitcoin, forex markets. It can be the DAX exchange, Indian markets, Philippines exchange, Frankfurt exchange. It can be the NASDAQ, S&P, whatever one you want to choose. In fact, it can be a basket of stocks that you put together. They will automatically appear in a matter of seconds, probably about 2 or 3 seconds. Once you see the spreadsheet, all you have to do is click on Scan. Now, this whole process probably takes about 30 seconds, okay? This is how simple it is. You'll see a series of green and red horizontal bars. The green bars mean that there's a buy signal in that corresponding stock. The red ones mean there's a sell signal. That's it. So you can look at all the ones that you're interested in for the next day. And this process can save you time, and you can pick and choose which are the best ones that meet your needs. Now, let's say I'd given this webinar a week or two ago, and you became a course member of the Strategy Number 4 package, and you had the platform, and you were using our scanner. Well, this is one of the setups you could have scanned for, because EW generated a buy signal on the 11th, okay? Now, it met all the parameters of the 4-step process I taught you today. Once you applied the fluid buy-sell line, you saw that you had a nice upward slope. Price was in the blue background of the buy zone. You had a Strategy Number 4 buy signal. It was very close to the upward slope. Had you taken that, well, in just roughly about a week, that was 25 points. Obviously, some news came out for that to gap up. And someone would say, well, Steve, I thought you didn't look at news. We don't look at news. And they would say, well, how did you know to buy that? It's because the market usually tells you in advance. There's no reason to overcomplicate your trading. So, rather than show you the way some other websites do, the great signals they had that were generated maybe 3 years ago, this happened last week. And there are lots of these being generated a lot. Now, is everyone a winner like this? No. Once again, we said you will have losses from time to time, but that's okay, because the method is extremely consistent. It's able many times to recoup those losses. So you're going to get the signal scanner. Now, it also comes with over 90 of the most prominent technical indicators. But remember, we're not here to tell you how to trade. We're here to teach you. If you must feel that you want to know all about fundamental news, you like to look at economic reports, we've provided you with free Bloomberg TV. This is on our platform. We actually have a media page where all you do is click on the icon and you'll see this page appear. This is live Bloomberg TV. So any announcement, any economic report, any jobless claim, anything you're looking for, any earnings estimate or earnings announcement will automatically, you'll see appear live, and it'll be on the platform next to your chart. Lastly, it comes with personalized tech support. So this is great. And if there's an issue, you're not sure how to apply something or work or click on an arrow, don't worry. We will be there to help you with it and be there with you every step of the way. So let's break this down, okay? See how simple this is and how inexpensive it is. We have a great offer for you. Strategy number 4, all right, the 15 video course and rules manual costs $695. It includes the scanner. 6 months of real-time PTS Primo charts, $882. That's a 6-month value. Now, this would normally cost you close to $1,600. Don't worry, we're not going to charge you anywhere near that. In fact, we're slicing the price tremendously, nearly 60%. We're only going to charge you $695 totally, all right? You're going to save clearly over $800. And one added advantage of that, if $695 is still too difficult for you to come up with one payment, don't worry, we have payment plans, or for a small deposit, you can still be up and running and make some monthly payments to achieve that $695. So trust me, we have so many students that have taken this package the last time I presented it last year. And I don't want you to fall into the ranks of that 80 to 85 percentile of that's constantly losing. A year from today, you will have wished you took this course, not only for the consistency and the simplicity, but because of this great offer we have running for a limited time only. So here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies. I developed a platform with them, and they handle all of the course technical support as well as the discounts and pricing. They would be the ones to contact if you have any questions about pricing. Now, you can email them if you'd like at the email address below. But if you have questions about pricing or just about tech support, the best thing to do is to call them directly at 310-598-6677. There's absolutely no obligation. They have customer representatives happy to answer any question you have and fill you in on that payment plan if you're interested in that, okay? Now, the link you see at the very bottom will take you to the sign-up page. It will also give you some more information about this very special limited time offer. It's not a live link. You'd have to copy and paste that, but a live link has been posted on the chat box. So you can simply go to the chat box on the GoToWebinar column on the far right, And in that chat box, they've posted a live link. You click that on, and it will automatically open up a browser. Now, we are at the very end. I have about 10 minutes left to answer any questions you may have, as promised. So if you do have a question, remember, just go to your question and answer box right now, type it in, and I'll answer it. One of the main things I just want to really stress is, and that I pointed out in the very beginning, is that what separates us from other webinars or from other companies you may have seen or purchased products, in that we are different because we are an educational company and we provide you with 42 years of experience and are there with you every step of the way. All right. Once again, our philosophy is we want to teach you how to trade. We don't want to trade for you. And why do we say that? Well, we go back to that old, quote of wisdom, where a good teacher teaches you how to trade, but he does not trade for you. And that's what a good mentor does. Now, if you're going to a place where they're providing you with signals and telling you what to buy or sell, ask yourself, how is it working for you? How well is it working for you? Most likely it's not working that well. And trust me, I know from a first-hand basis because I was there before. 42 years ago, when I was struggling, I was doing the exact same thing that most likely the majority of you have done, in the fact that I was having tons of outside sources telling me what to buy or what to sell. I was looking at all the systematic trading where they automatically generated buy and sell signals. I was, we didn't have chat rooms or trading rooms, but I was subscribing to all the newsletters. I was watching what all the guys on TV were saying. And trust me, nothing worked in terms of consistency. I'd have a good trade here or there, and then I'd give it all back. So that's not the way you want your trading to be. You want this nice upward slope, okay? A couple of questions here. People are asking, does this work on other markets? Yes, it does. I don't know what market you're interested in, but we have a database of, as I said, Indian markets, Canadian exchanges. You can create your own basket of stocks if you're interested in. So if you want that, you can do that as well. It's really a load of information. And once again, we make it simple. I actually have a pet peeve with platforms and scanners, because trust me, I've been trading platforms for 4 decades now. And so I started trading with the very first ones. And so I know how difficult and how complicated they are. And one of my pet peeves is in platforms, especially scanners, and how difficult it is just to load a chart or just to get a scan. I mean, I've looked at some platforms where it's taken me over an hour to figure out how to scan something. This whole process, we purposely made it simple so that you could scan for nightly signals that would take you less than a minute to generate the setups, and then look at your own leisure how long you'd like to look at the different stock setups. So this is why it's so simple. We take all the hard work out of it for you, and then we're there with you every step of the way. So if you're asking what markets, it's virtually just about any market you can think of. I showed you commodities, currency pairs, Bitcoin, okay? Students are saying, what happens if there's a sideways slope on the buy-sell line? Well, remember, we want to swim in the river that has a nice current behind it. All right. Now, does this mean that you can't enjoy a river where it's just kind of like a pond? No. So we're just trying to make your trading consistent. We have seen that a lot of great signals are generated where you have a nice upward or downward, a steep slope in the fluid buy-sell line. But that's okay. I mean, it's your choice. You can take those, or if you like, sometimes some very nice signals are generated with a kind of sideways slope. It's up to you, but we require all of our students first to paper trade before they actually use any real capital. Then you can decide, once again, you're in charge of your trading, not us. You can decide how you want to apply the methods. It's entirely up to you. You have consistency right now in your back pocket. How you want to apply it is up to you. Remember, we're like a restaurant. We're like a buffet line. You know the food's going to be good. It's just up to you which appetizers, which dessert, which beverage you decide to take. All right? It's your choice. Either way, you're going to be happy with your meal. It's the same way with us. We really strongly feel that you're going to be happy with your trading, but you're going to be in charge, not us. And this is what we do, which separates us from all the other so-called educators, and that we really are with you every step of the way. Okay, as we close here, remember, this is the information you need. I would strongly suggest contacting Pro Trader Strategies. There is absolutely no obligation. They have trading representatives on the phone right now ready to answer any question you may have, and they can set up a payment plan for you. If you can't come up with that one lump sum, they would be happy to work with you, okay? So contact Pro Trader Strategies. They can answer any questions, or they can take your credit card information over the phone if you don't want to do it online. So as we close, I just want to say I really put a lot of attention and detail into teaching you, and it doesn't just stop with our presentations. Anytime you have a question, you can always email me and I'll get back to you. Sometimes some of our students say, gosh, I'm usually used to people contacting me a week later. You contacted me that very same day. Many times, if my schedule permits, I will contact you within the next 15, 20 minutes. So there's lots of ways to learn. And as I said, I really give a lot of attention and detail into educating you because there's enough for everyone to go around. There are enough profits for everyone to go around. So why would you want to help someone to capture some of those profits as well? In closing, I just want to say I hope you got something out of this as you look at our disclaimer one last time. Please remember that this is a limited time offer, $695. We're discounted at almost 60%. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They would be happy to work with you. And in closing, I just want to say thank you so much for attending, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the Strategy #4 course. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.